A very good evening to the honorable, esteemed faculty for today,
Thank
Dr.
you so much.
C.S. Advocate Mamta Benani ji, Ahmedabad Branch Chairman in absentia C.A. Harit Dhariwal, the members of this series and my dear young members, a very warm welcome for today's fourth day on the IBC series. Continuing with our rich tradition, we'll first start the session with ICI motto. I request each one of you to place your right hand on your heart for ICI motto.
Yaesha supteshu jagrati Yaesha supteshu jagrati Kamam 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 Purusho nirmimanaha Tadeva shukram Tad Brahma Tadeva muchyate Tasmin lokaha shataha Sarve tadunatyati kaschan Etadvaita
Welcome back. First of all, Ahmedabad branch of ICI is really honored, privileged, and fortunate to have a really an esteemed speaker with us, Dr. C.S. Advocate Mamta Benani ji. And today's topic is also of great importance. In May 2021, 24th May 2021, Supreme Court has given a green signal that yes, bankers can start a individual insolvency process against personal guarantors. And ma'am, I would be glad to share you that in NCLT Ahmedabad, I am the first one to start with 5 personal guarantor application. And today morning itself, we have my first case has already been started. So today's topic is very, very important.
Very good.
Thank you, ma'am. And I feel really, really honored and grateful to introduce formally Dr. C.S. Advocate Mamta Benani ji. Her CV runs for 5 pages. So even if I take the whole session, I will not be able to read the CV. But yes, I would really be glad to introduce her. Madam loves to be in top 3, not even in top 5. That's what I have read from her CV. Ma'am was the national past president of ICSI, Institute of Company Secretaries of India, in the year 2016. She was the second lady president of ICSI in the illustrious history of the Institute of 52 years. Of course, with that, Madam has an excellent academics. She was practicing as a company secretary for over 22 years as a senior partner of Mamta Benani and Associates, having her offices at Pune, Calcutta, and Chennai. She is right now practicing as an advocate in the area of restructuring, corporate, and legal matters. Even in the insolvency professional, she was the first insolvency professional in the country to be registered with IBBI. She has also served as an independent director on few of the prestigious board and has served as the promoter director of ICSI, that is Insolvency Professional Agency, just as we have ICSI Insolvency Professional Agency. Of course, with the presidency, Madam will have been the chairperson of the branch as well. So she was the chairperson of the Eastern India Regional Council of the Institute of Company Secretaries in the year 2010.
Anjali.
Yeah, ma'am.
That's okay. Please don't embarrass me anymore. Just give me the dice so that I can.
Yes, ma'am. We are really glad, madam. को इतने सारे award मिले हैं. Ma'am has been a trainer, and just 2 minutes. She is currently the vice president of the. Just a second. Ma'am, really your
And the
CV1
Vice
thing is,
President of the NCLT Kolkata Bar Association. my friend.
yes, she's the Vice President and the Chairperson of the Merchant Chamber of Commerce Legal Affair Council, which oversees the corporate law and governance. Ma'am, I'm really
That's it.
falling short of words. Thank you so much. Will Ahmedabad
Perfect.
branch will definitely look for your physical session as well. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
yes.
Thank you so
My
much. Thank you,
pleasure,
ma'am. Yeah.
actually. Thank you. Thank you so much. Before I get into the session, I know which is actually a session that we're all looking forward to, because kahin na kahin hum sab, either as a client or maybe in our extended families, kahin na kahin as a personal guarantor, we have been, if I may just use the word fixed. When we sign the bank papers, that's the time when the bank is also in a hurry and we are also in a hurry. At times, just, we feel that, okay, ye paperwork hai, sare, it is done absolutely in good faith. It's not that, somebody is making us do certain things which is not correct. It's just that, that is the point in time when we don't get into the contract act, when we don't want to get into the fine writings in the on the wall, that is in the contracts. We kind of tend to sign each document that comes to us because we know that obviously they are all as per the discussions and the sanction letters, etc. But at times, what logically we tend to kind of forget or maybe overlook at that point in time is, because just this वक्त हम सब loan लेते हैं, at that point in time everything is so bona fide, and even today everything is so bona fide. Nobody ever thinks कि मेरा loan devolve हो जाएगा, the company will not be able to pay, because everything is so bright, the future looks so good. You are embarking on a new journey, you want to expand the business, you want to set up a new business. So you are so sure as a businessman that whatever risk that you're taking will bear results. And there's no question of devolvement of the loan, leave alone devolvement of personal guarantee. So we will try to travel that area, which will actually tell us that, wow, now what happens, and what is it that is there in the contract, which actually is enabling the banks to to kind of instigate or initiate personal guarantee against the personal guarantors. So we'll get into that arena, but just before that, let me do the honors. I must thank the Ahmedabad chapter of the esteemed Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. We're all brothers and sisters, all the three institutes. So thank you for really inviting me here. It's a pleasure. And Ahmedabad is one place which is actually quite close to my heart. One is because I am a liquidator of Sterling Biotech Limited. So that is one place, Vadodara, etc. I keep coming. So, Ahmedabad is something which, of course, then becomes very close to you. I keep appearing in NCLT. Our honorable judicial member was also from Calcutta. So, that actually also is it just kind of the link is definitely there. And it's such a pleasure to appear before His Lordships, actually. His Lordships has a great bandwidth and deep understanding of the law. So it's such a pleasure to appear before His Lords in the Ahmedabad bench. And moreover, this Ahmedabad place itself is so jubilant. I recollect when I was the president, I actually held the national convention in Ahmedabad. So Mahatma Gandhi, that I don't recollect the whole name, but that's the place where we hold a national convention while I was the president. So I have special fond memories of Ahmedabad. So thank you, Anjali. When Anjali just contacted me and she wanted me to take the session, I said it will be my pleasure. And I think I didn't take even a minute to say a big thank you to her.
Yes, that's so much kind of you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
So let me just take you, without much ado further, I will take you through a PPT, which will give you a fair understanding. But before that, just let me open the PPT, set the stage, and then maybe I'll give you a brief background. Can you see the screen? Yes, Anjali?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
okay.
Ma'am.
So see, what happened actually, that when this IBC came into forefront, that is in December 2016, that was 2016, I was the national president. So it so happened that ये law आ रहा था, and मुझे बहुत काम करने का इस law में मौका मिला, क्योंकि उसी समय सारे regulations draft हो रहे थे. I went to joint parliamentary committee with my council, esteemed council members and office bearers. I led the delegation, I made presentation. So kahin na kahin, you know, from the beginning, like I got involved, and therefore I was very intrigued by this law, and I really felt that पूरे country का landscape काफी कुछ बदल जाएगा, काफी कुछ change होगा. The positivity of the law was there, though it's a very, very, you know, loud law, but definitely over a period of time, the law has been trying to do justice to its objectives and reasons. Now, when you see the law, like Companies Act, we also saw that the entire code was not notified at one go. The code started getting notified one by one. Now, when we saw which one first and which one second, I'm not getting into it, but while it was getting notified, we saw that at least the part 3, I've jotted it down, yeah, at least the part 3, which actually dealt. So please listen to me carefully. I'll try to, you know, tell you as a kind of a story. Sorry, NCLT se call aa raha hai. So the part 3 did not get notified. Now, what is there in part 3? Part 3 deals with insolvency resolution and the bankruptcy for individuals. फिर हमने देखा कि वो part notify नहीं हुआ. Then we also saw that in section 2, पहले क्या था, पार्टनरशिप फर्म्स एंड इंडिविजुअल्स को एक साथ लिखा गया था. एप्लीकेबिलिटी ऑफ द कोड सेक्शन 2, वी अंडरस्टैंड दैट वेरी वेरी वेल. इन दैट पार्टनरशिप फर्म्स एंड इंडिविजुअल्स वर टुगेदर. फिर एक अमेंडमेंट आया तो उसको उन्होंने 3 भागों में बांट दिया. खाली आप एक बार ब्रॉड फ्रेमवर्क समझ लीजिए. सो दे एक्चुअली डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड एंड डिवाइडेड दैट इनटू 3 पार्ट्स. I'm sure that was done with the reason that whenever they notify, they would like to notify it step by step. They would not like to notify all at one go because of 2 reasons. One is, of course, they need to have the infrastructure in place. That is number 1. And number 2, I'm sure they want to test the waters also. Could be one of the second reason. And third reason, agar aap dekhenge, that the applicability of the monetary limit is 1,000 rupees. Minimum of 1,000 rupees. Now imagine 1,000 rupees is nothing. In the world that we live in, I mean, 1,000 rupees has really got not much value. So that we could understand, that even the government could understand that if this is the way it is, then it's going to really open floodgates of litigation. So immediately अगर सारे सब कुछ एक तरह से डैम टूट गया तो पूरी बाढ़ आ जाएगी. So therefore it made sure that nothing happens all together. Nothing happens at one go. So therefore we saw an amendment to section 2. I'll show you that amendment, and I'll also try to show you what it was before, so that you will be able to appreciate that what has been the changes and what has been the perspective in the mind of the judiciary. Sorry, not the judiciary, but in the mind of the legislative when it made those changes. So therefore, we saw that applicability of part 3 also got notified, and therefore it became applicable. Now, this applicability was from 15, it got notified on 15/11/2019. Yes, you're hearing me right. It is 15/11/2019, and it was to become applicable from, it has become applicable rather from 1st of December 2019. It may not be out of place to mention that even in part 3, there is a fresh start scheme, okay, that has not yet been notified. And it also went on to say that this part 3 is actually applicable for all the 3 partnerships, individuals, and firms. So it said that at this point in time, I am only making it applicable on individuals and not all individuals. Like, for example, please hear me correctly, and not on all individuals. It said that individuals who are personal guarantors, to companies which is either in CIRP or in liquidation, to them, this particular part 3 got notified. So for example, एक इंडिविजुअल ने किसी और को एक लोन दे रखा है, तो वो लोन भरपाई नहीं कर पा रहा है, उसकी लोन बकाया हो गई उस सेकंड इंडिविजुअल के बुक्स में, तो क्या वो उस पे CIRP कर सकता है? The answer is no. So it only became applicable to personal guarantors. और जब personal guarantee की बात करते हैं, obviously individual ही personal guarantor हो सकता है, कोई भी corporate body तो personal guarantor हो नहीं सकता. Corporate body, when it becomes a guarantor, it is known as a corporate guarantor. Corporate guarantor CIRP happens in the manner in which CIRP happens for a company. So therefore, what I am trying to say is that these provisions got notified only to the limited extent of the individuals who have given their personal guarantee to the banks, financial institutions, and anybody else. Rather, it is generally only to banks and financial institutions. But अगर suppose करिए वो कोई inter corporate loan ले रखे हैं, वहाँ पे भी अगर किसी ने personal guarantee अपनी दे रखी है, just as an example, even then that also get into the applicability criteria. So therefore, what I wish to say is that this personal guarantee, अपने को लग रहा है कि शायद ये अभी notify हुआ है, because everything has, it's like everything has come to the forefront all of a sudden. So don't think that it has got notified today. It actually got notified on 15/11/2019 with effect from 1st December 2019. फिर pandemic आ गया 2020 में, so kind of even everything was at a halt, because we know 1 year there was no insolvency proceedings. So that's also one of the reasons why you and me did not delve on it so deep, and even did not pay heed to it, because we thought it okay. Then this Anil Ambani ji's matter was up, so he got a stay in the Delhi High Court. So then the whole thing was like being watched by everyone, was being in fact eagerly watched by everyone. And then we saw a judgment in the matter of Jain, Lalit Kumar Jain versus the Union of India, in which the Honorable Supreme Court, the Apex Court, actually gave a very clear dictum to say that there cannot be any stay. And why did this case happen? I'll tell you as and when I proceed with the PPT. So this was, I just thought, I'll give you an overview. But as a common man, or even as an individual, I must say that there's a huge predicament lying in front of the personal guarantors. Anjali was mentioning that she has appeared, and her first case of insolvency against person, that is individual, has begun. The ball has set rolling. But as you go along, you will see that this journey is a very, very arduous journey. It's a very painful journey. And at times you will also feel that how will it be done? How logical it is? That will be one more question that will keep biting you. And the fourth bullet, that will keep asking you inner questions is, it looks very illogical, is what your mind will tell you. But when you get into the shoes of discipline, or maybe over speeding your car, I don't know what words to mention, but then probably you'll be able to see another side of the coin. So let's go ahead. So this is the insolvency resolution process for individual guarantors to corporate debtors. Now we all understand what is corporate debtors. I'll like to finish my PPT, and then we'll keep about 15-20 minutes or as the chapter would like me to handle for questions. So let's complete it, because I will have a particular flow, and I'll try to see that all of us, including me, has a clarity of this subject. I cannot deep dive into everything in a matter of 1.5 to 2 hours, but what I will leave you with is a clear concept, number one, and number two is that you will like to read more about it, because now that you will know the base, then you may like to get into more research into the subject. I think that is the job of any speaker, when he or she comes into a forum, that it should leave you a little thirsty also. So Ministry of Corporate Affairs wide notification dated 15/11, as I mentioned, notified the provisions of IBC relating to personal guarantors effective from 1st/12. See, including clause E of section 2 dealing with personal guarantors. Now let me show you I'll show you in the act itself, because then, that will give you a lot of clarity. So just hold on for a while. I'll take you to the code. I just have to do a stop share to do again a share. I am one person who believes that you should always read from the Bare Act. Always. I have been an All India topper in my intermediate exams in CS. and I recollect never reading from anything else except the BEAR Act and the notes and the book that is there, you know, as a study material. I always feel it's, आप जब तक BEAR Act को नहीं पढ़ेंगे, जब तक आप BEAR Act के flow को नहीं समझेंगे, any PPT or any notes, you know, will always leave you lingering for more. ये देखिए. So this is the part 3, as I was mentioning, right? This part 3 is all about insolvency resolution and bankruptcy for individuals and partnership firms. Okay, so this I was mentioning that this has today, it is only applicable, is only applicable for individuals who are personal guarantors. Now, as I was mentioning about section 2, let me take you there. You'll have a very clear understanding if you see this. This is the way I study. I just highlight portions and I try to read and reread all the time. And जितनी बार भी पढ़ती हूँ लगता है कुछ तो नया पढ़ रही हूँ, कुछ तो नया है. See, देखिए, ये है section 2, okay, which talks about the application. Now look at this. The provisions of this code shall apply to any company incorporated, any limited liability partnership, any other company governed by any special act. I'm sorry, I'm getting a call from the registry. Just give me a moment from High Court. 1 minute. So, see, any limited liability provision, such other body corporate as the central government may notify. तो अभी तक ऐसी कोई notification आई नहीं है. अब आप नीचे देखिए. Then it says E, and look at the 2 there, which means there's a change. What has been the change? I'll show you. It's given as a footnote. Personal guarantors to corporate debtors, partnership firms and proprietorship firms, and individuals other than persons referred to in clause E. Okay, so abhi kis pe aaya hai? E pe, personal guarantors to corporate debtors. Now look how it was before. I'll just show you. Let's go to the footnote. Ye dekhiye, substituted, see the highlighted portion, substituted by Act number 8 of 2018. Kab aaya change? 2018. Section 2 subsection section 2 subsection, I mean subclause 2 for clause E. Before substitution stood as under partnership firms and individuals. Okay, so it actually, you know, usko actually bhagon mein baanta gaya. I'm sure with the objective that we would also like to bring it in parts. Now let me take you to the presentation. I hope you got that. Isko ekdam samajh lijiye, because when the other side will appear in the court, you know, they will bring every point. Though Lalit Kumar Jain versus UOI, Union of India, has settled the issue, but since Anjali has fought in the court, she will actually resonate with me that the opposition will bring all those points which has been settled by Supreme Court. It will try to fight each and every point in the same fashion as if it is, again, you know, it's actually a retake of the whole issue in front of the Honorable Supreme Court. Isn't it, Anjali?
Yes, absolutely. And ma'am, it took me 8 months to explain the honorable judges that it is a section 94 application.
Yes.
So section no, and it is, and thank God we waited initially for the Supreme Court decision. So majority of the hearings went into the Supreme Court ka decision. और अभी आने के बाद भी we have to really make them read the act के section 94 में है. IRP ने application की है, each and every word. So it means a lot, ma'am.
Yes, so actually that is the only reason when, you know, I was also mentioning that ऐसा मत सोचिएगा आप लोग भी जब पढ़ रहे हैं इसको, that एक बार तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ममता कर ही दिया है, so you know why do we need to go with the whole thing again? We have to, because हमने भी अपने litigation में देखा है सब कुछ वापस बोलना पड़ता है, तो आपको clarity तो रहनी ही चाहिए. Okay, so let's go back to the PPT. So I hope up to here we are all clear. Then it says that classifies. So after this amendment, the third pointer, classifies individuals into 3 classes, namely personal guarantors to CD, partnership firms and proprietorship firms, and other individuals. So we are not talking of partnership firms and proprietorship firms, and we're also not talking of other individuals. इसका मतलब क्या है कि सपोज करिए कोई किसी का सोल प्रोप्राइटरशिप फर्म है जिसके ऊपर कुछ पैसे बकाए थे, वो नहीं दे पाया, can it be dragged into this IBC process? The answer is no, it cannot be. चाहे उसका लोन कितना भी बड़ा हो, चाहे आप बोलेंगे कि पार्टनरशिप प्रोप्राइटरशिप फर्म इज इक्वल टू एन इंडिविजुअल, even then it is not possible. Okay? So the provisions of part 3 of the code have only been brought into effect so far as they are applicable to a personal guarantor to the CD. So let's go to the next slide. See, any act which comes, so आप अपने सब जानते हैं as a professional that it gets into operation only when it has its rules and regulations, right? So the Ministry of Corporate Affairs also enacted the following rules from 1/12/2019 to govern the proceedings under Part 3. Now, whenever you read an act, I'm sure you're all aware that जब भी हम कोई act में word देखते हैं specified, when we see a word specified, it actually means that you are referring to the regulations. And whenever in the act you see the word as prescribed, that means it is referring to the rules. So जब भी आपको कोई अभी हम लोग कोड की बात कर रहे हैं, so whenever you are reading the code, and while you are reading the code, I'll show you the BEAR Act also. I'll take you to the BEAR Act. So whenever you are reading the code, wherever I'm repeating, and at the cost of repetition, I would request you to please listen this very carefully. So whenever you are reading and traversing the code, and if you find the reference of the words as prescribed, then where do you go? You go to the rules. And wherever you find the word specified, you need to travel to see the regulations. इसको याद रखने का एक ही तरीका है. Prescribed is a heavy word like a doctor's prescription. So and rules is heavier than regulations. अगर हम लोग greater than पढ़ते हैं, तो act is greater than the rules and the rules is greater than regulations. याद होगा जब हम लोग स्टूडेंट थे तो ऐसे ही पढ़ाया गया था. So since rules is greater than regulations and prescribed word as doctor's prescription is heavier than the specified word, prescribed means rules and specified means regulations. तो कभी भी कोई भी एक्ट में अगर हमें काम करना है तो we will always need the rules and the regulations. Generally speaking, if we see even the pre-packaged, since you have already had a session, and Ashish is an exceptionally good speaker and he's so hands-on, I'm sure he may have really taught you very well. Even if you see the pre-packaged rules, in that rules एकदम 4 rule की मतलब 4 rules ही है उस rule में, and then it talks about form 1. So that form in pre-packaged rules actually tells you that how will the corporate debtor, because उस rules में इस pre-packaged में खाली corporate debtor ही apply कर सकता है. तो फॉर्म 1 दिया हुआ है रूल्स में, which talks about how the corporate debtor can apply in the NCLT, right? Similarly, in these rules as a personal guarantor, ये 2 रूल बताए गए हैं. एक है the insolvency and bankruptcy application to adjudicating authority for insolvency resolution process for personal guarantors to corporate debtors rules. I know it's a very big title, but in name itself is suggesting that इस rules में आपको forms मिल जाएंगे. सारे forms है आपको. अगर say for example, if the personal guarantor is itself initiating that come, आप यार मुझे मार, मैं नहीं बोल रही हूँ. I'm only saying that see, look, I know I'm sick. I know I have devolved. I know that in spite of the demand notice, I have not been able to pay that. So therefore, I want my resolution to be done. Okay, my resolution. मैं बीमार हूँ, मुझे अपने आप को ठीक करना है, मुझे एक और मौका भी चाहिए to relive. तो वो खुद ब खुद apply कर सकता है. Then there is another provision which says corporate जो creditor है, जो creditor है, बैंक हो, FI हो, कोई भी हो, वो आपको लेके जा सकता है in the process. तो उसके लिए एक अलग form है. So all those forms you will find under this rules. Okay, and then आपको पता है that if the resolution is not happening, then it is actually going for bankruptcy. Automatic bankruptcy का कोई process नहीं है. Even for bankruptcy, one has to apply. right? For that, what is the rules which is applicable is the second one which you see on the screen, the insolvency and bankruptcy application to AA for bankruptcy process for personal guarantors to corporate debtors. आपको CIRP जो proper CIRP उसमें ऐसा कभी नहीं मिला. Why? Because there it slips to liquidation. If the resolution is not happening, it automatically slips into liquidation. But for an individual, it is a natural person. It cannot automatically happen. It has to happen by way of an application specifically for the same. So let's go to the next slide to tell you what are the regulations. So after rules, there are the regulations. So IBC on the IBBI. IBBI is a regulator which makes the regulations, right? So on 2011, हमेशा आप जब भी देखोगे, आप देखना पहले rules आ जाता है, फिर regulations आता है. It will never so happen that the regulations will come first and rules will come later. That's how I've observed. Either it is on the same day or a day here or there. So IBBI notified following regulations for the insolvency. The title would be the same, the Insolvent Bankruptcy Board of India. That's how we know how the regulation starts. Insolvency resolution process for personal guarantors to corporate debtors. And the second one would be the Insolvency and the Bankruptcy Board of India bankruptcy process for personal guarantors to corporate debtors, regulations 2019. So when you see 2019, as I was telling you, people, kuch sessions mein aise hue, ma'am, it has only come in 2021. It has only come now. How come the regulations and the rules are carrying the year of 2019? I said, pandemic mein pata hi nahi chala, but this rules and regulations were there. It was already notified. Then we saw that so many batch applications got merged and Delhi High Court had stayed. Then it went to how it went to Apex Court. I'll tell you that story, but it's there from 2019. So this is a very, very important slide, and I'll request you to lend me your ears. See, there are, I don't know why, but there are two schools of thought, what people understand. And maybe Anjali, I am actually appearing as a lawyer, so I have been arguing this in and out. But Anjali may, since her case has got admitted, so maybe we'll also take a few inputs from her. But before that, let me tell you what it is all about. What are the two schools of thoughts? Now, one is, what is it all about? ये बोल रहा है कि ये जो IBC पर्सन गारंटर्स है ये किस पे लागू होगा, और लागू अगर होगा तो कौन से ज्यूरिसडिक्शन को वो इन्वोक करेगा. ओके, किस पे लागू होगा और लागू अगर होगा तो कौन से ज्यूरिसडिक्शन को इन्वोक करेगा. दे आर द टू लिमिटेड क्वेश्चंस दैट आई वांट टू एड्रेस अपॉन एट दिस पॉइंट इन टाइम. किस पे लागू होगा? जिस पे कहा गया कि सपोज करिए कोई कंपनी CIRP में है या फिर उसकी लिक्विडेशन प्रोसीडिंग्स चल रही है, और उस कंपनी के जो प्रोमोटर्स हैं, डायरेक्टर्स हैं, जिन्होंने पर्सनल गारंटी दे रखी थी, और अगर उनकी पर्सनल गारंटी इन्वोक हुई है तो द ज्यूरिस उस पे लागू होगा. एक बात तो ये हो गया. आई रिपीट, ये कहा गया कि क्या लागू होने की बात चल रही है? IBC, राइट? IBC के तहत इंसॉल्वेंसी रेजोल्यूशन की बात चल रही है, नॉट एनीथिंग एल्स. तो IBC लॉ, और अगर IBC लॉ लागू हो रहा है तो कौन सी चैप्टर लागू होगी? इंसॉल्वेंसी रेजोल्यूशन प्रोसेस फॉर इंडिविजुअल्स. तो कहा गया कि अच्छा, ये तो क्लैरिटी हो गई कि पर्सनल गारंटर्स पे ही लागू होगा. So therefore it said that if a company, corporate debtor, which is in CIRP or is undergoing liquidation process, if in that kind of a case, the individuals who are personal guarantors, अगर वो अपनी पर्सनल गारंटी के लिए खुद डिवॉल्व करने के बाद खुद ब खुद अपनी रेजोल्यूशन कराना चाहते हैं, या फिर द क्रेडिटर वांट्स टू इनिशिएट IRP, insolvency resolution process, against those personal guarantors, then the door that they are going to knock is the NCLT. Okay, and it went on to say which NCLT. It said in that case, the NCLTs, which door of the NCLT will they knock? In that particular NCLT in which the CIRP or the liquidation process is going on. Now, the basic objective of this was actually that let there not be a forum shopping, number one, and number two, let one forum have a complete, complete vision of the whole case, complete bandwidth of the whole case, complete visibility of the whole case. And thirdly, it also meant that even the litigants need not, like forum shopping to ek alag baat ho gayi. Third point jo main bol rahi hu, that let the litigants also, for example, if the litigant here is a bank, they be given that, at least that comfort, that they need not travel to other doors. Everything can be given as a one-stop solution. Okay, so these were the three basic reasons when this particular thing was done. There is a concept paper, which is always mooted before a law comes into force, etc. I have the concept paper also downloaded, and I'll show you that. It writes about why and how, etc., etc. Now, the other school of thought, at least, to which even I have been privy to some of the discussions, said that अगर आप देखेंगे सेक्शन 60 सबसेक्शन 2 वो बोलता है नॉट विथ स्टैंडिंग द अबव से शुरू करता है. नॉट विथ स्टैंडिंग द अबव से शुरू करने के कारण ऐसा कंफ्यूजन हो रहा है दैट इफ अ पर्सन, ध्यान से सुनिएगा, that if a person is a personal guarantor, if an individual is a personal guarantor to any company or LLP, भले ही वो कंपनी और LLP का यहाँ पे कोई केस चल रहा है, CIRP लिक्विडेशन चल रही हो या ना चल रही हो, अगर उसकी डिवॉल्वमेंट हो गई है तो उस इंडिविजुअल के अगेंस्ट में द ओनली jurisdiction available is the honorable NCLT, right? But I don't approve this, and concept paper भी मैंने पढ़ा इसके बारे में. I'll show you that in the concept paper also what I understood is, just give me a moment. So, as I was mentioning, that the second school of thought actually was mentioning that because the notwithstanding thing is there, so therefore any individual against which this will be done, and if that individual has been a personal guarantor to a company or an LLP, then it will actually, NCLT will be the only forum. But I'll show you the concept paper also, and I think there has been a judgment. I have a Anjali, you have the judgment. There has been a recent judgment. I'll just show you 1 minute. Wait, I'll give you the citation of that judgment. You can write. I have it on my phone. Just 1 minute. And that judgment is actually very clear. It says, I'll give you the citation if you want. Yes, it is section 95. It is SCC online. And it says, I'll read. It's very interesting. National Company Law Tribunal, Mumbai. Okay, quorum of Honorable Justice H.V. Subba Rao, Judicial Member, and Chandrabhan Singh, Technical Member, dismissed an interlocutory application filed against a personal guarantor. Okay, filed against a personal guarantor under section 95. So, which means section 95 kya hai? Application by creditor to initiate insolvency resolution process of the IBC, finding that the corporate debtor concerned was not under CIRP. Okay, was not under CIRP. The instant interlocutory application was filed by the financial creditor under section 95 of IBC against the personal guarantor. Further, on an inquiry from the bench, it came out that the corporate guarantor for which the personal guarantee had been given was not under CIRP. Okay, hence the present interlocutory application cannot be prosecuted, and therefore the IA was disposed of. The citation is Altico Capital India Limited. Altico Capital India Limited versus Rajesh Patel. IA is 1062 of 2021, decided on 9th of July 2021. So, so this in all other so therefore I hope you have been able to understand. So in that case, where it will go otherwise, then if this be it, फिर बाकी लोग कहाँ जाएंगे? यहाँ आप आने मना कर दिए, ठीक है, so then what? They will all go to DRT as has been going on. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि DRT has been given a special power. DRT में आप जा ही रहे थे, you will continue to go there. But if CIRP or liquidation is happening, and if that invocation has happened, okay, limitation law etc will all prevail, my friends. Let me tell you, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है that you get a ramban and you can do whatever you want to. Limitation law will anyway still apply. So in all other cases, the jurisdiction in respect of initiating insolvency and bankruptcy proceedings against a personal guarantor would lie with the debt recovery tribunal. I got a question from a client. I don't know whether I'm answering it correctly or not, but he asked me that, okay, then let me go to, like, he devolved. He's a personal guarantor. He devolved. Like in IRP, in this, the IBC law, listen to me carefully. The IBC law, the personal guarantor can himself or herself also go. Right? आप खुद भी जा सकते हैं कि मेरा resolution करवा दीजिए. But क्या in DIRT you can do that? No. The answer is no, because that's a debt recovery tribunal. Okay, ये ध्यान रखिएगा. Because somebody came to me, okay, then let me go to DRT because you are saying that I cannot go to NCLT. I said, sir, आप नहीं जा सकते, because in DRT forum, it is only the creditor who can actually take you to DRT, because it's a debt recovery. It's not a resolution. Here in IBC, you are able to go because it's also talking about a resolution. So I just want to tell you that we should be aware of these small nitty-gritties, because this is actually going to make a lot of difference while you actually give an advisory to your clients. Third wala jo point hai screen pe, that is quite overlooked by a lot of people. So please don't overlook. It's a very important point, and I'll give you a difference. But let me first read it out to you. An insolvency resolution process or bankruptcy proceeding, ek baar rehne dete hain. An insolvency resolution process, if it is pending in any court or tribunal, shall stand transferred to the AA dealing with IRP of such corporate debtor. तो सपोज करिए आज कोई बैंक मेरे को DRT ले गया, मैं पर्सनल गारंटर हूँ, मेरे डेवोल्यूशन हो गई है, आई एम नॉट बीन एबल टू पे इवन आफ्टर डिमांड नोटिस, तो मेरे को बैंक ले गया DRT, तो DRT को चलो ले गया. बट सपोज करिए इन द मीन टाइम उस कंपनी का CRP स्टार्ट हो गया, वो मुझे ले गया था 3 महीने पहले, आज के दिन उसकी CRP स्टार्ट हो गई. उस केस में अब ये उस पर्सपेक्टिव से आप पॉइंट नंबर 3 को पढ़िए, विच इज सो इंपॉर्टेंट. इन दैट केस इट सेज शैल स्टैंड ट्रांसफर्ड. यू डोंट हैव अ चॉइस. ऑफ कोर्स देयर हैव टू बी अ ट्रांसफर एप्लीकेशन. कोई भी कोर्ट में जो प्रोसेस होता है, इट जस्ट डजंट हैपन बाय वे ऑफ अ लेटर, इवन इफ इट इज बाय वर्च्यू ऑफ अ प्रोविजन ऑफ लॉ. Even then, DRT में the financial creditor will have to file an app. I'm just getting into little nitty-gritties. You will have to file an application in DRT that, my lord, please allow by way of a transfer application, it will get transferred to Honorable NCLT. So now, आप कभी भी civil law देखेंगे या कभी ऐसे civil laws, personal laws देखेंगे, तो आपको लगेगा कि why this NCLT in which CIRP is going on? I am a personal guarantor. I live in Delhi, but the registered office of the company is in Ahmedabad. So CIRP तो अहमदाबाद में चल रही है, because registered office of the company is Ahmedabad, but वो personal guarantor रहता है दिल्ली. तो बोलेगा why not in Delhi NCLT? So the question is very well answered in the law itself. In the law itself, it says that the jurisdiction of the NCLT in that case will be that one very jurisdiction where the CIRP or the liquidation is going on. So this sheet is very important. I hope I have been able to get it inside all of us, because that's the base. So then as I told you, it is 1,000 rupees, and provided that the central government may by notification specify the minimum amount of default of higher value which shall not be more than 1 lakh rupees. तो इसको ना थोड़ा सा हमें ध्यान से पढ़ना होगा. What mistake sometimes we make is when we read this line, we feel that they have set a outer limit. No, the minimum amount has been said, that this 1,000 rupees, which is today the minimum, it still stands at 1,000 rupees. Okay, let's have no confusion that it has become 1 lakh. It is still 1,000. And वो ये बोल रहे हैं that this 1,000 can become 1 lakh. That's the only thing it is saying. It is not setting up any higher limit, right? And it also is saying that exception, as I told you in the beginning, that fresh start, it's not a state, I'm sorry, it's a fresh start process. Fresh start process, which actually is spanning out in sections 80 to 93, that is yet not notified. Now let's see the definition of a guarantor. Very important slide. I'll request all your attention. See section 126 of the Indian Contract Act, 1872. Indian Contract Act, just imagine, it dates back to 1872. And it's amazing and still stands tall. If you see the Indian Penal Code, it dates back to 1908. It still stands tall. I mean, amazing things, like you really get so intrigued when you see these years. Right? So section 126 of Indian Contract Act reflects upon the guiding principles behind the contract of guarantee. We all understand that it is a tripartite agreement. ये तो पता ही हमें, ये tripartite contract होता है between whom? Between the surety. Surety मतलब कौन हुआ? जो person guarantee दे रहा है. The principal debtor कौन हुआ? The principal debtor मतलब जो company है जिसके एवज में मैं गारंटी दे रहा हूँ, ओके, जिसके लिए मैं गारंटी दे रहा हूँ, दैट्स द प्रिंसिपल डेटोर एंड द क्रेडिटर. एक बार अपने बैंक एग्जांपल के तौर पे ले लेते हैं. सो इट्स अ ट्राइपार्टाइट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बिटवीन अ श्योरिटी, द प्रिंसिपल डेटोर एंड द क्रेडिटर, wherein liability of the guarantor is co-extensive with that of the principal debtor. ये सारी जो लड़ाई है और सारी जो the focal point of the whole thing is the word co-extensive. So you may park this point permanently in your mind that liability of the guarantor is co-extensive with that of the principal debtor. तो क्या इसका अर्थ क्या हुआ? co-extensive है मतलब co-extensive. जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं ना co-chair, तो जिसकी liabilities, उसके duties, उसके सारे सब कुछ बराबर है. We co-exist, which means what? We exist together, isn't it? So thus, the guarantor's liability, ये ध्यान रखिएगा, co-extensive, okay, coexist. Thus, the guarantor's liability to make good the payments on behalf of the principal debtor arises as soon as the principal debtor fails to fulfill its obligations under the contract. Okay, NPA होने से ही मेरा I have failed in a contract, the company has failed into the contract, ऐसा नहीं है. NPA तो एक particular एक terminology है, okay, in the books of RBI, in the books of banks. देखा जाए तो actually I have not been able to fulfill my obligations even if I am up by 1 day. So for example, if my last date of making payment was yesterday, and if I have not been able to make the payment yesterday, today actually I have failed to fulfill my obligations. So never think that your NPA date would be the date on which you have devolved. It will be a date which is of today in the example that I mentioned. हो सकता है मेरा NPA 90 days बाद declare होगा. Okay, so this is number 1 point which we have to understand. Number 2 is today if the principal debtor has not been able, if the principal debtor has not been able to pay, then today as a personal guarantor, I have become also liable for the money that has not been paid by the principal debtor. Okay, so since the liability is coextensive, तो coextensive मतलब जैसे ही principal debtor के ऊपर वो चीजें आई, मेरे सर पे भी automatically आ गया by the virtue of operation of Contract Act and by virtue of all the contracts that I may have entered into while I gave the personal guarantee. So this is very important. We'll have to remember. The guarantee furnished by a person to the corporate debtor can be invoked even prior to resorting to the corporate debtor. Now look at this. It is saying कि ऐसा भी law में allowed है कि I, before asking for the money from the principal debtor, I can actually go and bang the doors of the personal guarantor. Yes, you're hearing me right. आप यही सुने जो मैंने कहा कि even if this happens, okay, I may not choose to knock the doors of the principal debtor. मतलब कंपनी के पास जाने के पहले वो मेरे पास भी आ सकता है to say ममता you gave me the personal guarantee, you owe me the money. वो पहले कंपनी के पास नहीं गया जो कि उसका प्रिंसिपल डेटर था, वो सीधा मेरे पास आ गया. सो दैट इज एब्सोल्युटली अलाउड इन लॉ. व्हाई? बिकॉज ऑफ द वर्ड कोएक्सटेंसिव, बिकॉज वी एग्जिस्ट टुगेदर. तो मैं जरूरी नहीं है पहले कंपनी के पास जाऊं फिर मैं गारंटर के पास आऊं. आई कैन एक्चुअली go to you straight. Okay, that is what has been written. So basis the aforesaid principles of ICA, that is the Indian Contract Act, a personal guarantor under the code is defined under section 5/22 as what? As an individual who is the surety. Okay, as an individual who is the surety in a contract of guarantee to the corporate debtor. I hope you understand that. An individual who is the surety in a contract of guarantee to the corporate debtor. Now, Rule 3 of rules, however, defines a guarantor as guarantor means a debtor. वो खुद भी debtor बन गया, who is a personal guarantor to a corporate debtor, and in respect of whom guarantee has been invoked by the creditor. If you recollect, I've been using these words in my deliberations that the guarantee has been invoked. अरे तुम invoke तो तुम्हें करना ही पड़ेगा ना, आह्वान तो करनी ही पड़ेगी तुम्हें, बोलना तो पड़ेगा I am invoking the guarantee, and remains unpaid. Obviously there's a debt which is in default, so has to remain unpaid, only then I can do this process. So remains unpaid in full or in part. I hope I've been able to make this clear. See, these first 5-6 slides and the first 1 hour that spend to give you the, at least we try to set the tone. That is very important. मुझे याद है जब हम पढ़ते थे अपनी हिस्ट्री, ज्योग्राफी, मेरी मॉम हमेशा मेरे को बोलती थी, and now I have also started saying to my daughter that Avantika, her name is Avantika, I always used to say that तुम सीधा वो क्या करते, बच्चे लोग आप सामने का छोड़ देंगे and straight away will come to the paragraph. चैप्टर में बोलना क्या चाह रहा है, what is the flow of the chapter, what are the contents. I always have a tendency to go into the index. I try to see what is the content, what is the flow, because it's very logical. Then you understand, okay, first it is knocking the door, then that means initiating of CIRP, then who is the head of the family. So there's this COC which actually oversees the whole process, that there's the RP who becomes the engine, and there are a lot of bogies that the RP had to carry. So किस दिशा में चलेगी वो पूरा दिशा सेक्शन 28 में बताया हुआ है CIRP में, कि आपको कौन कौन से रेजोल्यूशन में अप्रूवल लेने हैं, कौन सा कैसा आपको 51% चाहिए कि 66% चाहिए. सो आपको दिशा वहां से मिलता है. सो एंड देन व्हाट हैपेंस टुवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ इट, वेदर इट इज गेटिंग अप्रूवल और नॉन अप्रूवल. सो एटलीस्ट यू शुड नो द फ्लो ऑफ द होल थिंग. देन अंडरस्टैंडिंग द लॉ इज वेरी इजी. बिकॉज व्हाई इज वेरी इजी? बिकॉज लॉ इज नथिंग बट एक्सटेंडेड लॉजिक. लॉ तो और कुछ है ही नहीं. लॉ हमारे समाज में जो हमारी रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं, ओके, जो ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ ईयर हमें परेशानियां हो रही हैं, एंड वी लिव इन अ सिविलाइज सोसाइटी. तो एक सोसाइटी को हम सिविलाइज बना के रखना चाहेंगे और फर्दर उसको अच्छा बनाना चाहेंगे. सो देयरफॉर देयर आर दीस सेट ऑफ लॉज, रूल्स, रेगुलेशन, जिससे कि हम सब उसमें बंधे रहें और हम सब डिसिप्लिन्ड रहें. दैट इज लॉ. सो लॉ इज नथिंग बट एक्सटेंडेड लॉजिक. सो वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड the basic premise first. So before I get into the presentation, I want to discuss some important judicial pronouncements, which is very important. In Ramkishan and others versus State of UP and others, it was the Honorable Supreme Court held that the liability of the guarantor and surety is coextensive with that of the borrower. So it has also been upheld. Therefore, the creditor has a right to obtain a decree. Okay, to obtain a decree. I hope you all understand the meaning, the difference between decree, judgment, order. Okay, so it says, therefore, the creditor has a right to obtain a decree against the surety and the principal borrower. Guarantor cannot dictate terms towards the same. Okay, so this is important because it is coextensive, is what it's saying. Then in Ferroalloys Corporation versus Rural Electrification Corporation Limited, it has its citations on top. The NCLAT held that it is always open to the financial creditor to initiate insolvency process under Section 7 against the corporate guarantor without exercising the same against the principal borrower. Why I brought this case law is here over here is because you need to understand that even corporate guarantor works under the same fundamentals of being coextensive. So अगर हम principal borrower को knock नहीं भी कर रहे हैं, तो I can actually knock the doors of the corporate guarantor is what I'm saying. Okay. So Dr. Vishnu Kumar Agarwal and Piramal, this is okay. You can read it. This is not so much relevant to the case in hand. Then there was the State Bank of India versus Athena Energy. This is very, very important. Ventures Private Limited Company appeal. The Honorable NCLT has in a recent judgment expressed a view contrary to its view in Piramal case and held that simultaneous initiation of CIRP against a CD and its guarantor is also permissible. पहले वो कुछ और किए थे, फिर बोले कि नहीं, simultaneous initiation of CIRP against a CD and its guarantor is permissible. I'll tell you why. ये क्यों important है बात करना. देखिए, guarantors का अपना एक डायलॉग, एक रुझान शुरू हुआ, एक नैरेटिव शुरू हुआ कि अगर कंपनी CIRP में है तो उसकी CIRP पहले खत्म होनी चाहिए. Only then we will be able to understand that at what price the company has changed its hands. So for example, if it is a 6,000 crore matter, okay, the list of creditors spans out to 6,000 crores. Now in 6,000 crores, say for example, एक बैंक है, State Bank of India, जिसकी 2,000 crore की claim size थी. In this resolution process, the entire list of creditors claim got settled at maybe, say for example, 1,000 crore. Out of 6,000, it got settled at 1,000 crore. And State Bank of India को भी समझ लीजिए 25% ही मिला. तो बाकी 75% रह गया, जो कि बैंक को right है, हक है, that it can actually initiate again, send a demand notice to the personal guarantor for that rest of the 75%. So even in the case of Lalit Kumar Jain versus the UOI, that is the Union of India, the narrative was also built to the extent that how can you do it together? जब तक CIRP का end result मालूम नहीं पड़ेगा, then how will the bank say this is the amount that has not been paid and therefore you are liable to pay that? So then, from that perspective, now read this. The Honorable NCLAT has said that simultaneous initiation of CIRP against a CD and its guarantor is also permissible. You don't have to wait for the CIRP or the liquidation process to get over. You can actually do it simultaneously. So therefore, this Athena Energy Ventures Private Limited judgment is very, very important. So the Honorable Appellate Tribunal further held that simultaneous remedy is central. Okay, look at the words. That simultaneous remedy is central to a contract of guarantee, and where principal borrower and surety are undergoing CIRP, the creditor should be able to file claims in CIRP of both of them. The IBC does not prevent this. Okay. Now, अब ये important है. The constitutional validity of notification of the provisions of Chapter 3 was challenged. You know that this is the Lalit Kumar Jain versus UI. अब actually हुआ क्या था? Why Lalit Kumar Jain and others versus UI? आपको दिमाग में आ होगा ये others में है कौन? So जब ये अनिल अंबानी जी का मैटर आया तो दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट gave a stay. उसके बाद हमने देखा कि वाधवांस का आया और भी वेणुगोपाल धूत जी सबका आया. Okay. So then since it was a stay in Delhi High Court, I think all met the same fate. So in various high courts, case started getting filed. So then IBBI requested that this is a big matter. जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी ट्रैवल करके गया तो IBBI के रिक्वेस्ट पे सारे केसेस को ट्रांसफर किया गया सुप्रीम कोर्ट में. By way of then Honorable Supreme Court actually heard it as a batch applications. It heard all those applications and said that let me set the law, let me set all the confusion, let me clear all the confusions and set it at bay. So therefore, that is how we see Lalit Kumar Jain and others. Okay. So and others में बाकी बहुत सारे लोग थे. So constitutional validity को भी challenge किया गया that how is it that you can actually only pick up personal guarantors, जबकि individuals पे था, how can you just pick up one particular kind of in isolation and say that no, this will become applicable only on personal guarantors. So they even challenged that. So they, therefore the constitutional validity was also challenged. And it then, of course, we know the judgment, it upheld and it said, yes, the government can, because it derives its powers. एक तो कि we can notify it in parts, And now that section 2EFG is separate, so it definitely has the inherent powers to actually notify as and when it considers fit. And this part 3 also, it said, part 3 agar aap padhoge, I'll show you, part 3 is actually made for all of them, 2E, F and G. ऐसा नहीं है कि part जो part 3 है, it is only made for 2E. No, it is actually for 2E, F and G. But wherever there are personal guarantors, we only have to pick it up for them. The rest we will have to understand that this has not yet become applicable. So constitutional validity of notification of provisions of Chapter 3 in respect of personal guarantors was pending before the Honorable Supreme Court. Kapil Wadhwan, Sanjay Singhal, Venugopal Dhoot, and 42 other big industries on the following main grounds. Now, what are the main grounds that was challenged? Section 2, Section 3 of IBC does not allow the central government to make Part 3 applicable selectively to personal guarantors of CDs. The Chapter 3 applies to individuals and partnerships firms as a whole. I hope I have made this point very clear. Granting opportunity to creditors to pursue two remedies for the same debt may give rise to possibility of unjust enrichment. Debt of a PG coexists with the CD, and if insolvency process is complete for either of them, the claim will cease to exist against both of them. इस पॉइंट पे लेट मी टेल यू, इस पॉइंट पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने क्या कहा, इट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, आई हैव इट हियर. इसमें आपको जो लाइन देखनी है वो ये देखनी है, बाय एन इनवॉलंटरी प्रोसेस. यहाँ जहाँ पे मेरा हैंड साइन जा रहा है ये देखिएगा, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, इट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. सो इन अ लैंडमार्क जजमेंट द ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट upheld validity of notification, and then it said the court referred the Maharashtra State Electricity Board. I've given the judgment's citation also along with other judgments and clarified that approval of a resolution plan does not ipso facto apne aap se hi does not discharge a personal guarantor of a corporate debtor of her or his liabilities under the contract of guarantee. As held by this court, the release or discharge of a principal borrower by an involuntary process. So कोर्ट ने क्या कहा, एपेक्स कोर्ट ने कहा, क्यों मैं ऐसा बोल रही हूँ. So आप अगर ध्यान दें तो there is a process of which is known as the one-time settlement. Okay, OTS, which is popularly known as OTS. OTS में हम क्या देखते हैं, all the guarantees gets relinquished. One time हो, I'm sorry, this person guarantee हो या फिर corporate guarantee हो, everything, या फिर कोई shares pledge किए हो, everything gets released, isn't it? We all know it so by heart now that in one-time settlement, when the one-time settlement promoters खुद ब खुद कर सकते हैं, they go to the banks, they can do it, खुद ब खुद voluntary act है, खुद ब खुद कर सकते हैं, they give it, and then they all the guarantees actually gets relinquished by the banks. So, but here the honorable judge is saying that since this is an involuntary process, now I know we will have all our questions in our mind that if somebody is doing a Section 7 application, how is it an involuntary process? It is definitely a voluntary process. So it's saying that by an involuntary process, maybe it is trying to say that for all the others, it's an involuntary process. So by an involuntary process, that is by operation of law or due to liquidation or insolvency, does not absolve the surety or guarantor of his or her liability, which arises out of an independent contract. It was also held that approval of a reso plan relating to a CD does not operate so as to discharge the liabilities of the personal guarantors. Okay, I hope it is clear. Then there's this Lakshmipat Surana versus Union of India matter, which was decided by the Honorable Apex Court on 26/3/2021, where it said that liability of a guarantor is coextensive with that of a principal debtor. It gets triggered on the principal debtors committing a default in payment when it had become due and payable. So 90 days of concept आप मत रखिएगा दिमाग में that NPA होगा तो ही होगा, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. The first very day after the date of devolution will also matter. The liability of the guarantor also gets triggered when the principal borrower acknowledges its liability in writing, so and so. Okay, ये अपने limitation law की बात है. Limitation law will apply. We know that 3 years is a limitation law, but आपको एक बार देखना होगा that if it is a continuing guarantee and if there are certain phrases given in the guarantee agreement that it will remain as a continuing guarantee, then I'm afraid we may not take advantage of the limitation law. So as such, right to initiate action within 3 years from such acknowledgement of debt accrues to the FC even against the guarantor. एक तो तरीका हो गया कि guarantor FC is, I mean, the person guarantor, देखिए, it's acknowledging its liability in writing within the expiration of the prescribed period of limitation. And I also told you that it may be also fair on our part to, when we advise, to ask from the person guarantor a paper with regard to continuing guarantee if it has any. So then I've laid down differences between CIRP and individual resolution process. I'm not getting into it. Let me straight away come to the important definitions because I have a lot to cover. I'm only on page 18 and there's a 51 page slide. So important definitions, section 79. So I'll get into this, but just remember one thing, that in this process of person guarantee, either an individual can itself go, as I told you, that you'll have to remember in your mind, or the financial creditor can also drag you to this insolvency court under the provisions of part 3. Okay. So what is the concept of excluded assets? Now, just to tell you very briefly, then only we'll be able to understand what I'm trying to tell you. That जब आप suppose करो किसी एक individual की insolvency होगी, so what it actually means. I'm sure everybody's mind must be working on it, and they must be thinking that that's a very simple question, ma'am. The simplicity answer, or the simple answer would be that उस बंदे के पास जो भी है, okay, it has to actually give it away and say that okay, this is what I have. मैं अपने आप को छोड़ के आपको मेरी जितनी भी possessions हैं, जितनी भी property हैं, जितने भी shares हैं, shares is also a property, जितनी भी जो भी हैं, I'm giving you, take it away, okay? And what else can I do? That is what he's going to say. What else can I do? So the law understands that, and so it says that okay, वो सब तो मैं ले ही लूँगा. But there are some assets which जो guarantor है वो अपने पास रख सकता है. तो सरकार ने क्यों कहा कि वो रख सकता है? Because there is a concept of dignified living also. और dignified नहीं तो living तो बोलना ही पड़ेगा. If you see तो dignified word आपको लगेगा नहीं, but जो भी है एक living तो है. So that person will have to have at least, you know, it's saying that उसके पास एक छोटा घर तो आपको छोड़ देना पड़ेगा. Okay, अगर वो अर्बन एरिया में रहता है तो 20 लाख का घर आपको छोड़ना है. अगर वो रूरल में रहता है तो 10 लाख का घर छोड़ना है. उनकी वाइफ के पास एक मंगलसूत्र, उनकी तो जितना तो आपको छोड़ना, 1 लाख का ज्वेलरी शायद बोल रहा है, छोड़ देना पड़ेगा. तो इस तरह से एक आध वो अगर उनका अगर खुद का एक कंप्यूटर है तो वो उनके जीवनी के लिए आपको छोड़ देना होगा. इस तरह की चीजें हैं जो कि अगर आप नॉर्मली हम पढ़ेंगे तो हमें लगेगा कि what is going to happen with the house of, so for example, if a big person, you know, a multi-millionaire, तो जैसे सपोज करो अभी इनका केस गया था अनिल अंबानी जी का, उनको हम बोलते कि ठीक है आपको मैं 20 लाख का घर, उनके पास भी 20 लाख का घर होगा भी नहीं, 20 लाख 10 लाख का घर छोड़ देता हूँ, आपकी वाइफ के पास मैं एक यू नो मंगलसूत्र छोड़ देता हूँ, that much is allowed. I don't know how this will work, but anyways, why are we only talking of them? This law is applicable to everyone. So for maybe some people, जहाँ पे 1,000 rupees का हम बात कर रहे हैं as an amount which is in default, of course there will be a lot of people who will also be maybe benefited by this exclusion of assets. So excluded assets is given in section 79 subsection 14 to say that unencumbered tools, unencumbered, okay, read the words very carefully. In law एक ही चीज तो हमें सिखाई जाती है बहुत, जो कि बहुत important है, that is that word, there's a word inside a word, okay, there's a meaning inside a meaning. So when you read anything, you will have to be so careful to understand and read what is given inside. So words, आप बहुत ध्यान से पढ़िए words को. So it says, generally हम लोग जब पढ़ना शुरू करते हैं हड़बड़ी में, so we start reading tools, books, vehicles, we'll just skip the word unencumbered. Somehow or the other, our eyes will not get into it. Only when we are going into court for litigation, then we'll read each and every word. But you have to notice the word unencumbered. जैसे हम लोग लॉ में जब पढ़ाई करते हैं तो नॉट विथ स्टैंडिंग को बहुत ध्यान से पढ़ते हैं, सब्जेक्ट टू को बहुत ध्यान से पढ़ते हैं, बिकॉज इट कैरीज अ whole lot of meaning and it changes the entire perspective of that subsection or a section. So similarly, it says include unencumbered tools, books, vehicles, and other equipment as are necessary to the debtor for his personal use. ओके, जैसा मैंने कहा, अब सपोज करो उसके पास टूल्स बुक्स है जिससे वो अपनी बिजनेस चलाता है, वो नहीं कर पाएगा. सो फॉर हिज पर्सनल यूज बट और फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ हिज एम्प्लॉयमेंट, बिजनेस और वोकेशन. सो यहाँ पे मेरा बोलने का मतलब था जब मैंने कहा कि नहीं कर पाएगा, सपोज ही हैज अ बिग, वेरी बिग ऑफिस एंड ही सेज आई नीड इट फॉर माई, आई नीड टू रन माई बिजनेस. तो आपको लगता है दैट ही विल बी एबल टू रिटेन ऑल हिज बुक्स, टूल्स एंड व्हीकल्स? ऑब्वियसली नॉट. Okay, for his employment, business or vocation. So this has its own connotation. पूरा आप नहीं छोड़ेंगे, there will be something, you know, which will have to be worked out. Then it talks about unencumbered furniture, household equipment, and provisions as are necessary for satisfying the basic domestic needs of the bankrupt and his immediate family. Basic. Read the word immediate family. Immediate family is also being defined. Okay, any unencumbered personal ornaments of such value as may be prescribed. Prescribed बोल रहा है तो rules में जाना है, वो आपको दिखाएंगे हम. Of the debtor or his immediate family, which cannot be parted with in accordance with religious usage. That is the reason why when I was telling you, I spoke of Mangal Sutra, right? अब suppose करो वो एक necklace पहनी हुई है और बोलेंगे नहीं नहीं, this I need, वो सब नहीं चलेगा. Why? Because it's saying which cannot be parted with in accordance with the religious usage. Okay, it cannot be parted with in accordance with his religion, with her religious usage. Now, this is something which forms a part of the act. Act mein diya hua, you know how strictly we have to follow the act. So, any encumbered life insurance, unencumbered life insurance policy or pension plan taken in the name of debtor or his immediate family. Immediate family में आपको wife है, माँ बाप है. माँ बाप में भी जो आ रहे हैं वो dependent parents हैं, dependent child है. Okay, so that is HUF है. So the immediate family का definition दिया हुआ है. An unencumbered single dwelling unit. Okay, single dwelling unit owned by the debtor of such value as may be prescribed. तो अब जब हम चलेंगे रूल्स में तब देखेंगे that it has been given कि single dwelling unit जो आप छोड़ोगे, that should be how much price. If you are in an urban area, if you are in a rural area, that will be of how much price. So it has just gone into micromanagement. Then excluded debt. So you have understood the concept of excluded assets. Excluded debt का भी concept समझ लीजिए, because these two words will keep, you know, haunting you while you read the law. Excluded asset clear है. Excluded debt means what? That मेरा हो क्या रहा है, मेरा resolution होगा ना in this process. मेरी resolution होगी. I'm a personal guarantor who has not been able to pay. So मेरी resolution होगी. इसका मतलब क्या है? That the debts which has come on me because of the principal debtor not having been paying, so it has come on me. So it will get, you know, restructured and I will be getting release. I'll get a discharge of my debts, right? पर बोल रहा है कि आपको डिस्चार्ज तो मिल जाएगा, लेकिन ये डेट्स जो मैं अभी शीट में दिखा रही हूँ, these are excluded debts. So which means these debts, just give me a moment. So this, as I was saying, so therefore it's saying that ठीक है तुम्हारा restructure हो जाएगा, तुमको discharge मिल. It's not, it's more of a discharge. Okay, discharge of debts. So debts will be discharged, but which are the debts which will not fall in that restructuring or discharge? That is known as excluded debts. I hope I've been able to make it clear. There's a lot of confusion going around discharge, excluded debts. इसका simple meaning ये है कि ये debts तो तुमको देने ही पड़ेंगे. बस सीधा सा मीनिंग इसका ये है, ये ना तो रीस्ट्रक्चर हो रहा है, ना ही तुमको इस चीज से डिस्चार्ज मिल रहा है. Now, if you see the list, you'll be able to understand that it makes a lot of sense. It's saying liability to pay fine imposed by a court or tribunal, obviously, because agar some liability has been imposed, I can't say no, you don't have to pay. Can a court overrule the judgments of the other courts? So from that angle, it's saying liability to pay fine imposed by a court or tribunal, liability to pay damages for negligence, nuisance, or breach of a statutory, contractual, or other legal obligation. Then it goes on to say liability to pay maintenance to any person under any law for the time being in force. Okay. Fourth, liability in relation to a student loan. Fifth, any other debt as may be prescribed. So any other debt has yet not been prescribed, but I think nowadays we always see that in law, government always wants to keep some leeway with it, and that's how we see these any other thing coming in and creeping in everywhere. So initiation of insolvency resolution process by guarantor, खुद ब खुद अगर हम जाना चाहें तो is section 94. So a debtor who commits a default, first thing that you'll always have to remember is a debtor who commits a default. Now you will say that, ma'am, I have not committed a default, but yes, you have. Why? Because one, principal debtor ने आपका दिया नहीं. Second, आपके ऊपर पहले demand notice भेजा जाएगा. To come to the section 94 also, but वो खुद ब खुद जब कर रहा है तो अपने ऊपर तो demand notice भेजेगा नहीं. So when this section is saying by guarantor, so in this case, there will be no question of demand notice because he himself is doing it on himself. So therefore, it says that if committing of default would also mean that wahan devolution ho gaya, so automatically he's in default. Okay, then it gives you the form number A along with an application fee of 2,000 rupees. Then there's the initiation of insolvency resolution by creditor. So there is a section 95, 94 शुरू हो रहा है खुद से, फिर 95 कहते हैं ना, God only helps those who help themselves. तो ये वाला याद रखिए. So 94, the first section of this things chapter starts with what? First खुद से. So you can do it yourself. That is section 94. Section 95 is a creditor actually doing it on you. So a creditor may file an application either by himself or jointly with other creditors. This is important. Okay, or through a RP to the adjudicating authority for initiating insolvency resolution process. Now, 2-3 things you have read in one sentence. एक तो मैं खुद भी कर सकता हूँ. Now, you may ask me a question that, Mamta ma'am, it is only OCs who can do, or it is only the FCs who can do. Generally, we all understand personal guarantee is never given to OC. So generally, it will always 99.999% cases, it will be a FC. But हो सकता है OC कोई बहुत बड़ा OC हो, foreign का OC हो, he may have taken a personal guarantee. In that case, even an OC then will wear a color and a hat of the FC and can actually do it because personal guarantee उसको भी दिया हुआ था, which has devolved. Okay, so therefore a creditor खुद भी कर सकता है, कुछ लोगों के साथ मिलके भी कर सकता है, खुद ब खुद कर सकता है या फिर through an RP कर सकता है. Okay, to whom? To the adjudicating authority for initiating insolvency resolution process. Now you may just a new concept has come in, that is through an RP. So what it says is a resolution process per professional can be hired, and through him this application can also be made. To whom? The application will be made to the adjudicating authority. And it goes on to say that agar financial creditor ek application laga raha hai in the insolvency court against a personal guarantor, then that personal guarantor will also have to be served, and the CD, that is the corporate debtor, जिसका वो personal guarantor है, उसको भी service करनी पड़ेगी. Okay, and what do you mean by through the RP? That RP can sign the form, application form, to say that ye hai. I have also seen it, and prima facie looks okay. In this case, when it is section 95 के matter में demand notice देना पड़ेगा. That is mandatory. That in a case of section 95, a demand notice has to be given. And if the person is not able to pay in spite of giving a demand notice, then only it will be allowed to actually push through section 95. Then the form has been given and a fee of 2,000 rupees has been given. Now, it's a very important concept which has creeped in this particular law is that an interim moratorium comes into play. So the moment, dhyan se suniega, the moment an application is filed, not accepted, initiated, nothing. Even if an application is filed, either in section 94 or section 95, in both the scenarios, the moment an application is filed, an interim moratorium comes into play. So therefore, इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि जैसे आज अभी अंजलि बोल रही थी, it took me 8 months. So that 8 months, even if उसको initiate होने में time लगा, but that 8 months, the personal guarantor actually was having an interim moratorium. अब उसको एक individual को क्या moratorium, your question तुम्हारे दिमाग में सबके में आ रहा होगा. Sometimes you feel that interim moratorium क्यों चाहिए कि individual को? So it then sometimes it helps also that DRT cannot initiate any process. Okay, कोई civil litigation भी हो नहीं सकता है. So therefore, it means that the personal guarantor is actually put to a calm and peaceful mind so that it starts working on its resolution process. So an interim moratorium comes into play. किसी कोई पूछ रहा था मुझसे कि will during pre-pack also interim moratorium comes into play? No. Okay, वहां पे moratorium ही होता है akin to section 14 and it only gets triggered once the pre-pack initiation happens. Okay, so during the interim moratorium period also कोई legal action हो नहीं सकता and the creditors cannot initiate any legal action or proceedings in respect of any debt. Now, appointment of resolution professional, as I was mentioning, कि हम जो उनको appoint कर देते हैं, it also helps the court. आप जब प्रीपैक पढ़ चुके हैं तो आपके लिए अभी इतना डिफिकल्ट है नहीं समझना. इवन इन प्रीपैक यू हैव सीन हाउ एन इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल, उसको वहां पे इंसॉल्वेंसी प्रोफेशनल बोलते हैं, pre-initiation के stage में, who comes in and who goes through the entire thing actually and also certifies in Form 1 that I have also seen it, etc., etc. Similarly here, it's not a question of certification. Here he only pushes it. He only makes an application. He signs the application. So I have been an applicant in one of such insolvency resolution process for a personal guarantor. In that particular form, this was under section 95. I think file हुए हुए 1.5-2 महीना हो चुका है. That 95 की application है, मैंने sign की है. So this is nothing which is in books. It is actually happening in reality also. So preliminary assessment of application, as I told you, the preliminary application will happen. The RP shall within 10 days of his appointment submit a report to the AA recommending for approval or rejection of the applications, recording reasons for the same. The admission or rejection of application, the AA shall within 14 days. So see, these kind of जो हम लोग ऊपर देख रहे थे, kind of a certification, right? So अपने को पता है MCA में क्या होता है. MCA में there is a certification. Certain forms is a straight through process, right? STP form बोलते हैं. So it just it gets into the portal and it is approved automatically. Similarly, I think these kind of provisions where we see an RP coming before, or there is a concept of, as in pre-pack that we saw, of an insolvency professional. These things may also actually give a lot of inputs to the adjudicating authority, that a lot of things minutely which they were looking at will now be seen by a professional, okay, a professional who knows the subject, okay, who's hands-on with the subject. So therefore, these 14 days timelines that we have been reading from top, from the beginning, starting with there was this judgment of which judgment was it when it said it is mandatory, it is directory and not mandatory. I'm not able to recollect. So from those days, we are seeing that 14 days sometimes was not being followed. So now it says that the adjudicating authority shall within 14 days. So these steps that the government has proposed will surely help. So within 14 days from the date of submission of the RP, report under section 99, pass an order either admitting or rejecting the application, right? Where the AA admits an application, we know that there will be a start of negotiation between the creditors and the corporate debtor, between the creditors and the personal guarantor, right? So moratorium, अब suppose admit हो गया. So मैंने क्या बताया आपको, suppose admit हो गया, then what happens? If it gets admitted, then moratorium sets in. वो क्या था? Pre-moratorium था. So admission के साथ moratorium sets in, and a moratorium shall commence on admission of an application under section 100. So it's very easy to remember the section also. It's 100, okay, 100, police number 100. So now there is this adjudicating authority. I'm not saying adjudicating authority is a police, but I'm only saying the number 100, you can recollect and remember that it is a section where there has been an admission of an application for initiation of a insolvency resolution process against a personal guarantor. Moratorium to remain in effect till the end of 180 days. So very much akin to, आप बताइए pre-pack में कितना है? It is 120 days, right? We know 4 months, correct? Am I right? So it is 4 months, I think. Yes, 4, and there is no concept of any extension. No concept of any extension. Even in personal guarantee, there is no concept of any extension. It is a 180-day process from the date of admission on which AA passes an order on the repayment. Okay. नहीं, ये दूसरा है from the date of admission or the date on which the AA passes an order on the repayment whichever is earlier. तो ये बोल रहा है कि moratorium कब खत्म हो जाएगा. So either it is 180 days or an order of approving the repayment plan, whichever is earlier. So during the moratorium, we are all understanding. I'm not getting into it. Then there's the withdrawal of application. Now, given under Rule 11 of insolvency rules, of course, this particular wisdom has to be given to the financial creditors and may also be lent to the person guarantor. So given under Rule 11 of the insolvency rules, the AA may permit withdrawal of the application submitted under Rule 6 and 7 before its admission on a request by the applicant, right? So you see that. So for example, section 94 में एक individual ने अपनी application लगा दी थी. So even that individual, if wants to withdraw the application, it can do so, of course, by way of moving papers into the court. But the law says that it can only be done up to a point which is before its admission on a request made by the applicant. Now, when I'm saying applicant, it could be both. After its admission on the request made by the applicant, if 90% of the creditors agree to such withdrawal. Okay, an application withdrawal shall be in Form D. Now, public claims for अब क्या होगा? The claim file होगा. यहाँ पे law में लिखा है that the AA shall issue a public notice within 7 days. But we all also understand that AA will never like to do this. Okay, it will always give it as a work task to the insolvency professional. Then what? It is a registration of claims of the creditors. The creditors shall register claims with the RP by sending details of the claims by way of electronic communications or through courier, speed post or registered letter. क्या बोलना चाह रहे हैं कि creditors आएंगे, वो अपने claims को RP के साथ register कराएंगे. And in addition, the creditor shall provide to the RP personal information and such particulars as may be prescribed. कोई करता तो है नहीं, but anyways, enabling provision तो देना ही होगा. और अगर वो खुद लेकर जा रहा है तो उसको ऐसे भी करना पड़ेगा. So list of creditors. Within 30 days from the date of public notice, you have to prepare a list of creditors. Then there is the repayment plan and approval by the COC. So the debtor shall prepare in consultation with the RP. Now this is very important. कि चल तो रहा है वैसे जैसे हमने बताया claim आ गया, ये हो गया. Claim से क्या मालूम पड़ गया that what is the size of the pendency, right? So claim will anyways be important. So repayment plan and approval by COC is the debtor shall prepare in consultation with the RP a repayment plan. So look at the role of the RP. आपने CIP में देखा that there is no consultation that a buyer or that is a RA, okay, a prospective RA or the RA has to take from the RP. क्या करना पड़ता है? उसको information memorandum देनी पड़ती है. And also may open the company for a due diligence. तो कहीं ना कहीं RP अपना रोल तो वहाँ पे भी play करता ही है because he prepares the documents, he puts it on the VDR, okay, he makes the documents RFRP, etc., etc. यहाँ पे क्या बोल रहा है? The debtor shall prepare in consultation with the RP. So यहाँ पे आ ही रहा है if any, I mean if it thinks so, ऐसा तो नहीं लिखा है. So it's written the debtor shall prepare in consultation with the RP a repayment plan containing a proposal to the creditors for restructuring of its debts or affairs. The repayment plan shall include the following: justification for preparation of such repayment plan and reasons on the basis of which the creditors may agree upon the plan. तो आप अगर लिख दिए कि no, I owe you 100 rupees, but I'll be able to just give you 1 rupee. So you have to just give the, ऐसा नहीं कि आप इतना सा लिख के छोड़ सकते हो. You have to give a justification for preparation of such a repayment plan. Number 1, and reasons on the basis of which the creditors may agree upon the plan. आप बोलोगे कि मैम सब क्या रीजन दिया जाएगा? तो रीजन could be like something which that comes to my mind immediately is that I'm a bona fide entrepreneur, I'm a bona fide businessman. You know, you can actually go ahead and write that this has something happened because of the natural calamity or because of imports, because of the imports which is happening at a lower price in the country, and there's no anti-dumping duty. So my business has like this, my business is suffering a lot, and my business is suffering because of reasons beyond my control. So there are so many things that happens in the business. So you may not bolna galat hoga, shall hai. So your repayment plan has to include all of these to enable the banks or the financial institutions, or for that matter the COC members, to actually go ahead and approve your plan, or maybe they are also eligible to suggest changes if any, right? So provision for payment of the fee to the RP and such other matters as may be specified. Now let's go to report on the repayment plan. So this is very important. RP has then to submit its report on the repayment plan along with the set repayment plan before the adjudicating authority within a period of 21 days from the last date of submission of claims. So last date of submission of claims kya tha? 30 days, right? 30 days ही है, देख लीजिएगा उसको. That's not very important to remember the days. But वो क्या बोल रहा है that नहीं, submission of claims is much before. 30 days is a time when you have to really finish your collation of claims. So within a period of 21 days of the last date of submission of claims, the report shall include the repayment plan, that whether it is in compliance with provisions of all law, the repayment plan has a reasonable prospect of being approved and implemented. ये भी देना पड़ेगा कि क्या ऐसा है मेरे प्लान में that I find that it has a reasonable prospect of being approved and implemented, and there is a necessity of summoning a meeting of the creditors if required to consider the repayment plan. तो जरूरत पड़ेगा तो creditors की meeting भी करेंगे. Report on the repayment plan, section 106. The report referred to in shall also include specify the date on which and time and place at which the meeting should be held if it is of the opinion that the meeting of the creditors should be summoned. इसमें क्या है देखिए. So if you recollect this, let me just go back and tell you. This will be important to understand because it's a little peculiar. यहाँ पे हमने क्या देखा that the debtor shall prepare in consultation with the RP a repayment plan. अब RP को लगता है it is in compliance with all the laws and all the justification that is being given in the second paragraph has been given. What will RP do? RP has two choices. RP can straight away file it to the adjudicating authority because आप देखे थे कि within 90 days, I mean within, this is a 180-day process, it's a very short process. तो वो क्या करेगा? The repayment plan या तो adjudicating authority के पास डाल देगा और बोलेगा कि I'm done और कोई changes वेंजेस कुछ है नहीं, अब आप इसको देख के खत्म मतलब कर लीजिए. He may not like to go to the committee of creditors. Okay. Second scenario is that the businessman, I mean the resolution plan, it may also, the RP may also think कि हम बना तो लिए in consultation, debtor ने मेरे साथ in consultation बना लिया, but I think that they should get a specific approval of the COC. Okay, in that case, वो plan एक बार adjudicating authority के साथ file कर देगा और बोलेगा कि look, I am now calling a meeting of the COC. So it is absolutely on the discretion of the RP. To वो बोलेगा now I am calling the meeting of the COC, and in the COC will consider the plan. And if the COC approves or gives its input, then either it is done and over on the same day, or it may spill over to any other date. So this is very important. I hope you have understood. Okay, now let me just take you to where I left. In the meeting, see, RP shall, अगर वो meeting call कर रहा है, in that case, it shall issue a notice calling the meeting of the creditors. RP shall issue a notice calling the meeting of the creditors at least 14 days. अगर वो meeting call कर रहा है, then it has to follow this process. It's a very watertight compartment. Anyway, we know that this whole process of IBC is very tightly compartmentalized, so that because it's hugely a time-driven process, number one, and it's a very process-driven process. So therefore, everything has been, it's timed. So at least 14 days before the date fixed for such meeting, the notice shall be issued to the creditors as per the list of creditors prepared by him. In the meeting of the creditors, they may decide to approve, modify, or reject the resolution plan. And just go on to read what has been written. If there are modifications suggested by the creditors, the consent of the debtor. कौन हुआ है यहाँ पे debtor? Principal debtor नहीं, जिसका काम हो रहा है, मतलब जो personal guarantor है. The consent of the debtor shall be obtained for each modification. I hope you have been able to understand this. For each modification. तो आप बोलेंगे खाली पैसे के related पे है, बाकी तो हमें जरूरत नहीं है. नहीं, आप कुछ भी modify कर रहे हैं, you have to take the consent of the debtor. A creditor shall be entitled to vote at every meeting in respect of the repayment plan, so and so. So rights of secured creditors in relation to a resolution plan, very important. It says that if you want to participate in this process, if you means a creditor wants to participate in the process, it has to relinquish its security interest in the common pool And if it is not relinquishing, then what happens? That is what has been given. अब suppose करो ये भी हो सकता है कि मेरे पास 5 चीज था, मैं 5 तो उसमें से 2 relinquish कर दी, 3 रख ली, तो उस स्थिति में भी क्या होगा? That has also been mentioned. So this is a little, a sheet that may need some of our attention. Post this, it is very simple. So a secured creditor shall be entitled to participate and vote in the meeting of creditors. If he participates and votes in the meeting in relation to the repayment plan, he shall forfeit his right to enforce his security during the period of repayment plan. वापस पढ़िए आप इसको. If he participates and votes, okay, in the meeting in relation to the repayment plan, he shall forfeit his right to enforce his security during the period of repayment plan. Okay, so where he does not forfeit his right to enforce the security, he shall submit an affidavit to the RP at the meeting. I hope you have been able to understand this. Okay, now look at this. That the right to vote exercised by him is only in respect of the unsecured part of his debt. ऐसा हो ही सकता है कि 100 उसका है, 80 रुपया debt उसका secured है, 20 रुपया is unsecured. So he may then write in an affidavit that I would like to participate. With respect to my secured debt, I've relinquished, or I have not relinquished, but I have some portion of my unsecured debt for which I would like to participate. Right? उस केस में वो क्या लिखेगा? That the right to vote exercised by him is only in respect of the unsecured part of his debt, the estimated value of the unsecured part of his debt. In such a case, secured and unsecured part of his debt shall be treated as separate debts. So this is quite a pertinent point. And then there will be the meeting of creditors. अगर meeting call किया गया, तो it will be governed by Regulation 11 of the Insolvency Regulations. So then let us travel to contents of repayment plan. अब वो दोनों जन मिलके repayment plan देंगे, जैसा हम बात कर रहे थे. What is that? Repayment plan shall contain the term of the repayment plan and its implementation schedule. आप ना थोड़ा ध्यान रखिए. You have done so much CIP, you've seen so many plans. So just keep that in your mind. The term of the repayment plan and its implementation schedule, including the amounts to be repaid and dates of repayment to creditors, the source of funds, the duration, the financing required. Okay, has any business, kaise hoga, the manner in which funds will be distributed, the functions to be undertaken by the resolution professional, koi terms of contract hai jo vary kar rahe hain, the details of excluded assets and excluded debts, and terms and conditions for the discharge of the guarantor. Then there's this purchase of assets by certain persons. It says कि उतना important नहीं है. You may like to look at it. I want to have some question answers. So I'm just approval of repayment plan by creditors, right? So now if the creditors meeting has been called, then of course they'll have to approve it by way of a vote. That is what it says. And after it is done, a report of the meeting of creditors has to be prepared on the repayment plan. Look at this. The repayment plan or any modification shall be approved by a majority of how much? 3/4 in value. Okay, of the creditors present in person or by proxy and voting. So दो नया concept यहाँ पे हम launch कर रहे हैं. हम नहीं कर रहे. The law has launched. That is, एक तो आप ध्यान रखिए, it is 3/4 in value. Okay, that you have to remember, of the creditors. Look at the next words. Present in person or by proxy. We never saw this proxy word. Okay, so present in person or by proxy and voting. So which means present and voting. कई बार हम देख रहे थे कि लोग abstain हो जाते थे in CIRP, which we also had to consider as a negative vote. But now it is saying that if a person is not coming and is not voting, then the denominator to that extent will also be adjusted. So it makes life a little easier. नहीं तो क्या होता था? Denominator was always at 100, and abstainment was also being treated as a negative vote. So 3/4 in value of the creditors shall be present in person or by proxy and voting on the resolution in a meeting of creditors. The RP shall prepare a report of the meeting of the creditors, okay, and give all details. The RP shall provide a copy of the report of said meeting to whom? The debtor, the creditors present or absent. Suppose कुछ लोग नहीं आए, तो क्या आप उनको नहीं दोगे? Of course, जैसे board minutes में भी होता है, if a board member is absent, then is he not shared with the draft minutes? Of course, he's shared with the draft minutes. Okay, so debtor, the creditors present or absent, and the adjudicating authority. So that's a very, very important slide. Approval of this talks about approval of resolution plan by AA. On the basis of the report of the RP on meeting of creditors, the AA shall approve or reject the government plan. The repayment plan Where a meeting of creditors is not summoned, AA shall pass the order passed based on the RP's report submitted under section 106. फिर क्या बोल रहा है देखिए, the order of the adjudicating authority approving the repayment plan will also provide for directions for implementing the repayment plan. Where the AA is of the opinion that the repayment plan requires modification, it may direct the RP to reconvene a meeting of the creditors. So what is the effect of the order of approval of repayment plan? Where approval for repayment plan has been granted, such repayment plan shall take effect as if proposed by the debtor in the meeting, and it will be binding on the creditors mentioned in the repayment plan and the debtor. So that this provision finds a place in the act. So how long can you not follow it? Okay, rejection of repayment plan by adjudicating authority. देख लीजिए इसमें लिखा है that where the adjudicating authority rejects the repayment plan, the debtor and the creditors shall be entitled to file an application for bankruptcy. Why do you think it was important to say this? बोलेंगे तो बहुत ही नॉर्मल सा ही चीज है that they will, तो यू मे इसमें ये भी तो लिख सकता था जैसे हम लोग प्री पैक में देखे कि टर्मिनेशन हो जाएगा वो प्रोसेस का, तो यहाँ वो नहीं बोल रहा है. अगर वो खुद कर रहा है 94 में, तो लॉ वुड हैव सेड ओके दिस प्रोसेस विल स्टैंड टर्मिनेटेड. नो, इट सेज दैट वेयर इट रिजेक्ट्स द रीपेमेंट प्लान, इसका मतलब उसने जो प्रपोज किया मुझे समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा है. The debtor and the creditors shall be entitled to file an application for bankruptcy. As I was telling you, for bankruptcy, a person has to go specifically under the particular application format to install, if I may use that word, bankruptcy. Okay, so who shall implement and supervise a repayment plan? In the law itself, it says the resolution professional appointed shall supervise the implementation of the resolution plan. पहली बार ऐसा हम देख रहे हैं कि law में, because in CIRP, if you see, it doesn't speak about about implementation at all. Okay, just doesn't speak about implementation. But here we are seeing in the section itself, section 116, that the resolution professional appointed shall supervise the implementation of the repayment plan. And यहाँ पे हम resolution plan नहीं बोलते हैं, हम उसको बोलेंगे repayment plan. The resolution professional may apply to the adjudicating authority for decisions for particular matters, and the adjudicating authority may issue instructions to the RP on the basis of an application. So when does a repayment plan complete? I think our presentation is also going to get completed. It happens with the resolution professional shall within 14 days of the completion of the repayment plan forward to the persons who are bound by the repayment plan, okay, and the AA. And the following documents: a notice that the repayment plan has been fully implemented, and a copy of a report by the RP summarizing all the receipts and payments. Then breach of repayment plan by the guarantor. So don't think that anyone can actually escape the eyes of law. So it therefore writes what are the breach of repayment, what are the things that happens if there is a breach of repayment plan. So discharge order, सब हो गया, repayment हो गया, आप flow आप देख ही पा रहे थे, repayment हो गया तो क्या होगा, discharge order मिलेगा उनको when the repayment is also complete. Only then we are talking about discharge order. So the resolution professional shall apply to the adjudicating authority for a discharge order, specifically for a discharge order in relation to the debts mentioned in the repayment plan, and the adjudicating authority may pass such discharge order. The repayment plan shall provide for early discharge or discharge on complete implementation of the repayment plan. So this is how it is. Application for discharge order. अगर discharge करना है, as I was telling you that in the courts of law, nothing comes verbally. Everything will happen by way of a application. So there has the section regulation 21. The RP shall, for the purpose of discharge order, file an application along with the copies of the notice and reports under section 117 and to the AA, and under section 119 on consideration of the notice and report, AA may pass a discharge order. Okay, so this is how it looks. I hope you have been able to get a glimpse of what the law is. पता ही नहीं चला 2 घंटा कहाँ चला गया. So I'm also grateful that these sessions actually just sharpens my also, like my axe also. So Anjali, we'll be just open for questions, and just give me a moment.
Anybody has questions, you can type it in the chat box or you can unmute yourself.
Yes. So Anjali, we can take up questions if any.
Yeah.
I'll just stop share my presentation. But before that, I want to just say that ek baar mein khali, I want to show the act, how it looks like. Just give me one moment. I will have to just go back 1 minute. Yeah, bankruptcy. So this is the code. Yeah. Okay. This I'll just take 2 minutes so that when they go back, they'll be able to relate. ये देखिए, दिस इज द कोड. ओके, नाउ कोड section 78 onwards at page 68. ये the Bear Act है. This is the Bear Act which I've downloaded from the IBBI website. See, okay, the application है, ये सब preliminary सब sections हैं. फिर आप सीधा पर 93, 94 में 94, 95 में आ जाइए. See, insolvency resolution process. Okay, chapter 3. See, application by debtor, then it is application by creditor, then interim moratorium. जैसे ही application हुआ, initiate हुआ, तो interim moratorium की हम बात कर लिए. Process carry कौन करेगा, उसकी भी बात पहले करनी पड़ती होती है. तो appointment, पंडित जी आएंगे ना ब्याह करवाने, तो पंडित जी को तो बुलाना होगा. तो अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ रेजोल्यूशन प्रोफेशनल, कोई तो आके काम करेगा, तो उसके बारे में हम बात कर रहे हैं. फिर उसकी रिप्लेसमेंट की बात कर रहे हैं, पावर्स किसके पास है, क्या है, देखो सारे उसके इर्द गिर्द चल रहा है. फिर उसके सबमिशन ऑफ रिपोर्ट की हम बात कर रहे हैं. देन एडमिशन और रिजेक्शन ऑफ एप्लीकेशन. जैसे मैंने कहा 93, 94, 95 में कि 94 में आप डेटर खुद जाएगा, 95 में क्रेडिटर थ्रू एन आरपी जा सकता है. फिर मॉरेटोरियम की बात होगी, उस समय तो हम इंटरिम की बात कर रहे थे, फिर मॉरेटोरियम की बात आ गई. देन पब्लिक नोटिस एंड क्लेम्स इनवाइट करेंगे हम. देन वी आर गोइंग टू have a, we'll register the claims and we'll prepare the list of creditors. Then we'll have a repayment plan. Then report of resolution professional on the repayment plan. ये देखिए, the report shall also specify the date on which and time and place at which the meeting should be held if he is of the opinion that a meeting of creditors should be summoned. अगर उसका opinion बन रहा है कि creditors की meeting होनी है तभी, अगर होना है उसके हिसाब से, तब हम summoning of meeting of creditors use करेंगे. word यहाँ पे summoning use किया हुआ है. So then it shall issue a notice etc. फिर meeting होगी. Then voting rights का बताया हुआ है as specified by the board. तो हमें rules में हमें regulations check करने पड़ेंगे. Secure creditors का क्या rights है, as I told you, कि अगर वो security relinquish करता है तो ही उसके पास voting right है, और नहीं तो वो क्या करेगा कि मैं इतना कर दिया और इतना रह गया, तो unsecured के लिए वो कर सकता है. Then approval of the repayment plan by creditors. फिर वो report of the meeting चला जाएगा adjudicating authority के पास. Then notice of decisions taken at the meeting of creditors. Order of adjudicating authority on the repayment plan. Then what will be the effect of adjudicate of that order. फिर वो implementation and supervision देखेंगे. Completion हो गया, मतलब पूरे consummate हो गई. Repayment plan coming to an end prematurely, अगर पैसे हम जल्दी दे चुके हैं तो क्या होगा, discharge order. और ये पूरा जो है, it says standard of conduct. The resolution professional shall perform his duties and functions in compliance with the code of conduct provided under section 208. So this is how it is. So it starts with 94 and ends with section 120. Okay, so I'm done, Anjali. I hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, there is a question. Let me check. Yeah, ma'am, there is a question in the chat box from Chirag Jain.
I'll just check it.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, ma'am.
The threshold for CD is now 1 crore as per part 2 effective. Absolutely, threshold is 1,000. Yes, absolutely. How to deal with such mismatch in threshold? Yeah, so there is a mismatch because the whole objective was that, for an individual it should be 1,000, so that you're able to reach out the wider gamut of people and resolve them. See, the government never have an intention that people should be sent to bankruptcy. Please understand. गवर्नमेंट, इसका जो बहुत ही नोबल इंटेंशन है इस लॉ का, अगर आप BLRC पढ़ेंगे तो इट्स ओनली सेइंग दैट वी वांट टू गिव पीपल अ फ्रेश लीज ऑफ लाइफ. ये जो झक्कर सब चल रहा है पीछे, दैट यू आर अ डिफॉल्टर, यू आर दिस, यू आर दैट, just finish them off and start life with in a fresh slate. So for an individual it is 1,000, I understand, और कितना भी रिजॉल्व हो जाए वो मिनिमम तो 1 लाख रहेगा ही. तो भी आप बोलोगे कि 1 लाख और 1 करोड़ का है, वो तो है ही. That is there.
Ma'am, I have a question related to guarantee, although it's not related to IBC. Would you mind if I go ahead and ask?
Yes, please go ahead.
एक फॉर्म ने 2014 में लोन लिया, then in 2015 the guarantor died, and in 2019 the firm became NPA, and there was a continuing guarantee. So is the legal heirs of the deceased liable under the guarantee?
A very, very valuable question. इसके लिए ना, the first thing that you have to check is the agreement that has been entered into. उसमें कई बार जैसे हम लोग अपने जब कोई agreement बनाते हैं ना, लिखते हैं ना along with its successors and assigns, okay, legal और individual के case में लिख देते हैं legal as. अगर वो लिखा है या successors लिखा है, then of course the successors will be liable. But अगर वो नहीं लिखा है, then you have a case in hand to fight it out.
Ma'am, as per the Clayton's rule, the liability which was existed on the date of that has been extinguished already. So there is no liability. Still they are liable.
Yeah,
This
why
is the actual
you
case
say extinguished?
pending in DRT Ahmedabad.
हाँ, कैसे आप बोल रहे हो कि वो extinguish हो चुका है, बताओ?
जैसे कि on the date of that, there is a liability of 10 crore, but it was a CC. So it was funds are coming in and out, and all the funds that are credited after the date and the date of NPA are more than 100 crore. So as per the Clayton's rule, the liability is not there as on the date of NPA, or the date of NPA is after the 3 years of the date of the guarantor.
Who told you this, that it will be 3 years after the end and that date which you're mentioning?
Because
Where do
that
you
is the
get that
actual
point
case.
from?
This is my family, is one of my family members case.
हाँ, I understand. I mean, मैं ये बोलना चाह रही हूँ कि देखो, कोई भी चीज का मैं सलाह अगर देना होता है तो you need to know the whole matter, because then it is in tits and bits, then it is not correct. But I'm only saying that दो concept इसमें एक अपने को समझना है. एक तो legal as वाला जो मैंने कहा, क्योंकि I have also undergone something like this in one of my cases which I was handling for a client. अगर वहाँ पे लिखा है successors, assigns, legal as, तो it is definitely there is no escape route. But अगर नहीं लिखा है तो we can fight it out. Second, the limitation law definitely applies in initiation of personal guarantee cases. Absolutely it applies. इसमें हमें दो चीज देखनी होती है कि एक, जैसे मैंने कहा, कंटिन्यूइंग गारंटी अगर है, कंटिन्यूइंग गारंटी है तो उसकी लैंग्वेज को अच्छे से पढ़नी पड़ेगी कि कंटिन्यूइंग गारंटी किस हिसाब से लिखा हुआ है, बिकॉज लैंग्वेज के तोड़ मरोड़ से बहुत फर्क पड़ता है. आई गिव यू वन मोर एग्जांपल टू गेट एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग. कई बार हमने ऐसा देखा कि पर्सनल गारंटी अग्रीमेंट्स में लिखे हैं कि इट इज अप टू माई नेटवर्थ. ओके, माई गारंटी, सपोज करो 6,000 करोड़ का लोन दिया, जनरली हम लोग क्या समझेंगे कि पूरा लोन जो बाकी रह गया वो पूरा इसके ऊपर पड़ गया. लेकिन सपोज करो if in a guarantee agreement it has been specifically and categorically mentioned that my guarantee is only up to my net worth. In one of the agreement I saw that it was written that my guarantee is only up to 4 crores of rupees. In that case, even if a devolution is for an extent of 1,000 crore, my personal guarantee liability will be to the extent of that mentioned in the contract. So therefore it will be hugely driven by the contract. But if it is not a continuing guarantee and if the bank has not done anything to keep it continuing, then your limitation law will definitely prevail. Yes, Anjali.
Yeah, I have a question. You meant generally the interest calculations.
Very good question. I know that. Bolo.
When do we start the interest calculation, especially in this personal guarantor case, because the definition says that the moment the default starts, not from the date of NPA. So how do we, because in my application I have calculated the interest from the date of जो notice आती है SARFAESI में, from the date of that notice I have calculated the interest.
So you may have done that. Actually, what happens is claims में सारे interest वगैरह सब आ जाते हैं. Interest, penalty, ये वो, everything is coming. Now, what another way of doing things? Anyways, it will be case specific. Another way of doing things is from the claim, whatever money I've got. Say for example, उस समय हो गया, resolution हो गया, और liquidation चल रही है तो हमें पता है कितना पैसे हमारे को आ चुका है. Okay, so in that case, then you know what to minus. So from there it starts, right? बट अब जनरली जो केस होगा वो तुम्हारे वाला होगा जहाँ पे रेजोल्यूशन हुआ नहीं है, साथ साथ इनिशिएट हो रहा है. देन इन दैट केस व्हाट यू डू, एक्चुअली देन इन दैट केस यू विल डू व्हाट यू हैव डन, you have rightly done then. And you can actually it's a very if you see the calculation, it's actually quite so heavy.
Exactly. And ma'am,
compound interest लग जाता है.
particularly जब उनको पता हो कि
Very
इसमें
bad.
से 1 रुपया आने नहीं वाला.
It's
So,
extremely hard.
so the calculation becomes, plus we have to do it compounding करना,
Absolutely.
simple interest करना, तो
Exactly.
ये सब questions बहुत आ
And then
जाते
you
हैं.
have to read the agreement with a minute test, with your lens, because उसमें कितना कुछ लिखा रहता है. Compounding interest, तो ये rate of interest लगेगा, तो fluctuating लगेगा, तो penal भी लग जाएगा, damages भी लग जाएगा.
Yes, yes,
You have to
yes.
put everything. Penal interest 2%, कई बार 2% per month लिखा है, कई बार bi-monthly लिखा रहता है. So one has to actually read it very, very carefully to do the calculations.
Correct, correct. And particularly when we know, ma'am, कि इसमें से कुछ भी नहीं आने वाला,
I know.
and still we are fighting in the court. And
Actually.
yes,
Right.
yeah, Rajkumar ji, you can type it in the chat box, or you can unmute your. Let me unmute you. Rajkumar ji has raised.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, ma'am,
happy-
actually, I'm going to the previous question only. So what I know that a person can inherit the assets and not the liabilities. Liability in excess of assets cannot be inherited to the heirs. So in that case, there is no question of bankruptcy of legal heirs of the deceased person. Even if the bank guarantee covers that.
Let us see. We'll have to test the ground actually to really see that. But whenever we sit with some meetings of the bankers, that is how I've understood from their dialect that if you're getting the assets, you also get it with the liabilities. So let us see then if it is specifically excluded, definitely. If it is not, we'll have to see. But since that you've told me, let me just read this through, and I will reach out to Anjali if you have any separate views.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for pointing that out, Rajkumar ji.
Any other questions? I think, ma'am, you have explained it wonderfully well. So I propose formal vote of thanks. You have explained it very in a very simple and lucid manner. The landscape which you have created before you explained the personal guarantee provision, it was amazing, excellent. I still relate it to my 61-1-2 because before I started, I've read all this, and the question, the intricacies which you mentioned, that you keep on questioning yourself, okay, why this NCLT, why only so. You had explained it amazingly. We look forward for your physical session, and ma'am, really from bottom of my heart, Ahmedabad, as a secretary of the Ahmedabad branch, we are heartfully thankful to you for sparing your valuable time and giving us an excellent session. We look forward to you for many more sessions. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Anjali. Also convey my regards and gratitude to your chairman and all the other office bearers.
Yeah.
In absentia, I also want to extend my heartfelt gratitude for the opportunity given. Every learning opportunity is an opportunity, is what I feel. So thank you so much and I must thank all the esteemed participants who are seniors and who are seasoned players in their own particular den, if I may say so, and they are very seasoned players. So thank you for being there throughout. It means a lot to me. I'm taking away a lot of precious memories of this program because Ahmedabad chapter has called me for the first time, and I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you, and ma'am, I'm sure it will not be the first time. You would become and your CV will also have a regular faculty at Ahmedabad branch of ICAR. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Permit me to log off.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you
We
so
end
much.
the session here. Thank you all the participants for being there. Thank you.